Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Introducing Revolutionary and Compliant YCLE Premier, new segmentation that helps financial marketers sell smarter. My name is Monique, and I'm your moderator today. To quickly go over a few housekeeping items, we are recording this webinar, and you will receive both a link to listen to the playback and a link to download the deck by tomorrow afternoon via email. This is going to be a content-packed 30 minutes, but if I can draw your attention to the control panel on your screen, you'll find options to change your audio preferences and a handout section where we've uploaded some complimentary materials for you to download and enjoy post-webinar. You'll also notice the questions box where you can enter questions and comments that only your presenters and I can see. We will answer as many live as we can at the end and follow up with those whose questions aren't answered over the next couple of days. We have two great speakers on the line today, Catherine Spizak, Senior Product Strategy Manager, and Lisa Raimundo, SVP of Commercial Sales. And with that short and sweet introduction, I'll go ahead and pass things over to Catherine to get us started.
Thank you, Monique. In today's ever-changing, fast-paced world, financial and marketing analysts responsible for consumer acquisition, media planning, and market analytics need to accomplish a lot of different tasks. They need to know the switchers from the prospects for products like home equity lines of credit and everything in between. They need to segment customers in a regulatory compliant way. They need to develop and enhance products based on usage patterns and demographics, determine upsell opportunities, and next best products. They need to compare actual market penetration rates against the potential market size, and measure market and branch composition to identify marketing strategies and set performance goals. Financial marketers need more than a score to accurately predict or understand customer financial behaviors. They need an actionable marketing solution that helps them sell smarter and win bigger. Demographics alone cannot do this. Customer data alone cannot do all of this. But segmentation, which combines demographic and survey data and can be used with your customer records, can do this effectively and powerfully. Claritas has an entire suite of segmentation solutions available to help you sell smarter. Today we'll be focusing on our complete segmentation solutions of YCLE and YCLE Premier, and then we'll talk about IPA and net worth indicators. But first, let's talk about YCLE Premier. Claritas YCLE Premier, created specifically for financial marketers, classifies every U.S. household into one of 60 consumer segments, based in part on the income-producing assets of that household, as well as income, age, family structure, and a wide variety of financial and investment behaviors. YCLE Premier has a wide range of applications for financial marketing and wealth identification, with the ability to link data necessary for the company-wide integration of a single customer view. YCLE Premier offers an extensive set of ancillary datasets and links to third-party data. This allows marketers to use data outside of their own customer files to pinpoint products and services that their best customers are most likely to use. This powerful segmentation system enables marketers to create a complete portrait of their customers by answering these important questions. Who are my ideal financial customers? What are they like? Where can I find them? And how can I reach them? Innovated for today's financial environment, Claritas YCLE Premier represents the next generation of our current financial syndicated segmentation system called YCLE. YCLE Premier builds on our proprietary and unique YCLE methodology by adding new inputs and drivers, reflecting changes in the demographic and financial composition of the United States over the past decade. There are two new innovative features playing key roles in the new YCLE Premier model. The first new addition is a big data source of property-level home value and property characteristics from a third-party provider that covers more than 99% of U.S. properties. This data set is sourced from tax assessor databases and includes various property-level attributes such as sales price, tax amount, total value, and the outstanding mortgage attached to the product, both loan amount and duration. The inclusion of this home value data in YCLE Premier has resulted in a more predictive model that uses property value as a predictor of wealth and an array of financial behaviors. This data set provides a more precise read into wealthier segments, which are typically harder to identify and predict because they're a relatively small part of the US population. To that end, the inclusion of this home value data allowed us to add a new high-end break to our income producing asset indicator dataset, which is offered as both a standalone product and is included as a driver in Cycle Premier. While income producing assets previously had 10 breaks and ended at 2+ million, it now has 11 breaks and ends at 3+ million. In addition, our net worth indicator product now ends at 2+ million. This improvement to these products allows for unprecedented distinction and definition of high wealth segments, and we will speak to this more in later slides. The second new feature introduced with Cycle Premier is a measure of technology use that identifies the extent to which a household has embraced technology in their everyday lives. A model was developed utilizing more than 100 technology-related behaviors from several Claritas and third-party surveys. These behaviors include use of specific devices, as well as activities engaged in by the household across various devices and channels. The technology descriptor of each segment within the new Cycle Premier system can be used to better understand if a segment is an early adopter or a laggard and how technology affects their everyday life, which is invaluable in today's financial market. Altogether, the addition of the property level home value data, the two new drivers in home value and technology, and the extension of wealth in the income producing assets driver has allowed us to show an improvement in lift from 5 to 7% over current cycle. This means that you can expect a 5 to 7% improvement in reaching your best financial customers over the current system. So let's talk a little bit more about lift. The way to measure the improvement offered in a new model is to review the metric of lift, or the overall improvements in reaching your best customers. The way to do this is to compare two models. In this case, we're comparing current cycle and Cycle Premier against a set of behaviors. To get an overall sense of model performance, we compared the two models to 3 different sets of behavioral data sets: financial, technology, and insurance. As you can see, Cycle Premier performs better than Cycle at a range of 5 to 7%, which will improve both your ROI and the success rates of your campaigns. So that's an overview of Cycle Premier, our complete segmentation system. We also offer some focused products that can be used to enhance or add on to our syndicated segmentation systems to give an even more focused look. And two of those are IPA Indicators and net worth indicators. A distinguishing feature of Cycle Premier is its use of the Claritas Income Producing Assets Indicators model, which is a proprietary Claritas model that estimates the liquid assets of a household to determine those most likely to use a product or service. In this case, liquid assets includes checking accounts, savings products, money market accounts, CDs, and retirement accounts. By client demand, Claritas began offering this indicators product as a standalone product in addition to using it as a driver in our syndicated segmentation systems. And after doing so, one request that we heard over and over was, could we extend the high wealth breaks? Well, we're proud to announce that we have been able to deliver on this client request. With the addition of the property level home value data, the income producing asset breaks have been extended from 2 million plus to 3 million plus, allowing for unprecedented distinction and a more focused understanding of high wealth segments. Segments 1 through 9 in the income producing asset indicator product will retain the same limits as before. Segment 10 is now 2 to 3 million, and there is a new segment 11 that is 3+ million. We were also able to add a high wealth segment on our net worth indicator model. Net worth estimates the net difference in a household's assets minus its liabilities. Assets include liquid assets, fixed assets such as the value of a primary residence, cash value of insurance, collectibles, real estate, and other investments. And liabilities include mortgages, loans such as auto, student, home improvement, and other personal loans, credit card balances, and balances on other lines of credit. The property level home value data has allowed us to change segment 10 in net worth indicators from 2+ million to 1 to 2 million, and then add a new segment 11 that represents 2+ million. It's important to note that we do not plan to stop here. with either income producing assets or net worth indicators. We will be looking for additional sources and ways that we can extend the breaks even further in the future. So let's meet the new YCLE Premier segments. YCLE Premier features 60 segments. 38 of those segments have new names from the current cycle, and 22 of those names you may recognize if you're currently using YCLE. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the cycle segments that have the same name in YCLE Premier are exactly the same. They do have, it is a new model, so they have updated descriptions. There are also 12 life stage groups in YCLE Premier. They retain the same names as the cycle life stage groups, but they have updated descriptions and new segment makeups. Let's meet one of our new segments. This is equity earners. This is segment 16, found in group M3, upscale empty nests. This segment ranks very high for IRA and investment balances. They're putting their earnings in Roth IRAs, variable rate annuities, and money market accounts. This segment is using brokers and financial advisors to ensure that they are investing their hard-earned dollars correctly, so to enjoy a certain standard once they retire. They live in very nice homes and will take out home improvement loans or home equity loans to improve them. Equity earners understand the importance of investing and have an income level that allows them to do so, but they also value the importance of experiencing life. They regularly splurge on domestic travel and cruises and are likely to have a second home or real estate property. So how can we work together? There are several ways that you can access and use YCLE Premier IPA net worth. The first is appends. Appends allow you to add codes to your customer or prospect data set. If you need to do this behind your firewall, our directory option is perfect because it provides a directory down to the ZIP+6 level for you to append YCLE Premier, income producing asset, or net worth codes directly onto your file. Behavioral insights are profiles that allow you to look at different behaviors through the lens of YCLE Premier to identify consumer segments more or less likely to engage in over tens of thousands of behaviors. Distributions provide estimates of the number of households with a specific segment assignment in each level of standard geography. We have segmentation solutions for everywhere your customers of today and tomorrow are. Our segmentation data is readily accessible to help you reach your target audiences everywhere, whether that's TV, radio, print, direct mail, or across the digital ecosphere. So when will it be available? Right now, the YCLE Premier, income producing asset, and net worth directories and distributions can be shipped from Claritas. There's also a select amount of profiles or behavioral insights available for YCLE Premier that can be shipped today. In addition, our IPA net worth indicators directory and distributions are currently available. Beginning in December of this year, household appends will be available through Claritas. They will also be available through multiple household data vendors after this time. And beginning in December of 2018, Claritas 360 will be updated with YCLE Premier and the new income producing asset and net worth breaks. They'll be available in reports, file enhancement, and for directory download. In 2019, we will follow up with some additional releases. The My Best Segments portion of Claritas 360 will be updated with YCLE Premier. We will have additional behavioral profile sets available for YCLE Premier and more. I want to stress that Legacy YCLE is still around. However, after December 2019, there will be no more deliverables of Legacy YCLE available for Claritas. This gives you over a year to migrate from YCLE Premier to YCLE, but you will have some time to still work with your current YCLE products if you use those. And now I'm going to hand it over to Lisa Raimondo to talk about some of your top questions and concerns.
Thank you, Catherine. For the next few minutes, I will address 3 questions we anticipate are on most of your minds. First up, my company is using YCLE right now. Why should we migrate to YCLE Premier? Well, YCLE Premier is a significantly enhanced update to the methodology, above and beyond an annual update. Key changes include the addition of big data in property level home value and property characteristics, as well as a new driver that's been added for technology use. These changes are yielding a 5 to 7% lift improvement over cycle. Additionally, you will also be able to differentiate and identify high wealth segments through income producing asset indicators up to $3 million plus and net worth indicators up to $2 million plus. Our risk team is concerned about this data because of the fair lending debate. Can you help me address this? Of course. There are hundreds of banks that are using Cycle today. They're using it analytically in models, both internally and externally. And remember that segmentation represents model data based on ranges of demos. Further, race and ethnicity are not drivers in the model, nor are they included in any documentation or segment descriptors. And my company is worried about privacy. What are your privacy policies? So let me start by saying we are as serious about privacy as you are, and this concern is one that is relevant across industries in which we work. And because we see privacy as critical, we have stringent policies, protocols, and technical protections in place to create privacy-safe marketing solutions. Information is collected through surveys and trusted third-party suppliers, and all data is voluntarily shared by participants. Segment assignments represent predictive values based on both modeled and real data. No PII. No information about a unique individual or household is published or reported within segment assignments. And lastly, our directory option is an excellent solution for clients that enables you to append behind your firewall. So with that, we hope that these 3 questions have addressed some of the major topics we anticipate are on your mind. And with that, I'll turn it back to Catherine.
Thank you, Lisa. YCLE Premier and its launch is the culmination of years of research and development, and we're thrilled that the market can now start using this revolutionary and valuable segmentation system. I hope that you've enjoyed the full overview of YCLE Premier, IPA, and net worth that we've given you. We've taken you through the new drivers of YCLE Premier to show you the improvement in lift in reaching your best customers. I hope that you will understand that YCLE can help you identify your best financial prospects in the market. It will enable you through all of the profiles and behavioral insights to match your creative and messaging, which will improve your ROI. It will help you with more effective customer acquisition and give you a company-wide view of a single segment. It can increase your sales and your market share and drive retention and loyalty. Most importantly, we're here to help you sell smarter. Thank you for joining.
Okay, so at the top of the hour, or excuse me, at the top of the webinar, I mentioned that there is a questions box on your screen. So if you have any questions or comments that you want us to answer live, please go ahead and type them in there and we will address them with the remaining time that we have. So one of the questions we have is, will there still be updates to current Cycle, or is YCLE Premier the only model that will see future updates?
It's a great question. So we in September began our process of launching an updated YCLE segmentation system. So it was September of 2018, we launched the vintage 2019 update. We will update in 2019 to a 2020 cycle. That will be available until December of 2019. So you will see one additional update of YCLE, which we advise that you use in conjunction with YCLE Premier to begin to migrate. Anything after December 2019, we will not be making any additional shipments of legacy YCLE.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, we did have a question about, will you be able to receive this PowerPoint? And yes, you will. Tomorrow, you will see an email come through in your inbox, and it will have a link to both download or listen to the recording and to access the PowerPoint itself. So thank you for that question. Okay, another question we have is, let's see here. For someone who is migrating, when can I start migrating, and how do you recommend we begin the migration process?
So I think it's best to reach out to your client service representative to discuss migration. It all depends on how you're using the system and what products you receive. They can go over which products are available for you now. If you use profiles, we can make sure that that's one that's available now. And take a look at how you're using the product. If you're coding, or using a directory and develop a specific migration product for you, path for you. So we are certainly here to help you do that. And again, you have a year and a quarter to migrate, and we are here to help you do that. So please, if you have questions about the best way to migrate to YCLE Premier, please reach out to your client service representative and we can help put together a path for you.
All right, the questions are rolling in. One of the other questions is there urbanicity data with YCLE Premier?
Yes, urbanicity was a driver in YCLE and it remains a driver in YCLE Premier. So it's both a driver in the model, meaning it's one of the questions or inputs that determines a YCLE Premier segment a household gets. And we will also include urbanicity in the descriptors. So when you look at the rich information about each segment, you will also be able to determine if they're urban or rural.
Okay, let's see. Another question we have, a couple of questions kind of surrounding this. Basically, do you have something that can show the variables of the model?
Yes, we have. The slide that you'll get in the PowerPoint indicates the drivers that are used, and then it does discuss them in the methodology statement as well, which we can make accessible.
Okay, I think we'll get to probably about 2 more questions before we wrap it up. And there are a lot of questions that have come in, and we will make sure that we answer them with you offline. But one of the questions, will the new home value help with any households that rent? So I guess if maybe this person is just asking, do we have a way to differentiate between renters and homeowners?
So tenure is still a driver in the model. It was in YCLE and it remains in YCLE Premier. So that would be whether they're owner or renter. The home value data is for owned homes to give the property level. So it wouldn't reflect on a renter who doesn't technically have that as an asset. But each household would be identified as an owner or renter.
All right, and last question that we'll get to, can YCLE be used for targeting loans without entering into fair lending issues?
Yes, because the race and ethnicity information is not in there, we are able to, you can safely use it around fair lending. We can make the assessments, to look at which products and services each YCLE Premier segment is likely to invest in, and then identify sort of best prospects for any type of financial product. So it can be utilized in that way.
Yes, and those can definitely be questions that you talk with your Claritas rep, or if you don't have one currently, we will make sure you get in contact with someone to ask as well. So I want to thank everybody who was able to join us today. If you missed it at the top of the call, and just a few minutes ago, I did mention that links to this webinar to download both the recording and the deck itself will be emailed out tomorrow. And if you liked what you heard and learned today and you want to share it with the world, we do encourage you to use the hashtag Claritas webinars on your social media. After you leave here today, we have I believe it is a 4-question survey. Should take you about 2 minutes of your time. We would love for you to answer it. It helps us improve our webinars in the future so that we make sure we're making the most of your time, because your time is valuable and we are conscious of that. So if we didn't get to your question, and there are some in there that we weren't able to answer live today, we will follow up with you offline. So expect a response from one of either your Claritas representative or someone that we put you in contact with to get those questions answered, and we appreciate it. Thank you for joining us, guys. We'll see you on the next one.